know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
The top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it. Of one man who confronted truth and consequences.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Doug Poppa, Truth and Consequences Podcast. Welcome, folks. This is episode 85 for Friday, January 21st, 2022. If you are not familiar with my exclusive stories on the unsolved 2016 Land Kauffman double homicide, I suggest you watch episode 83, titled Land Kauffman Murders, Police Compromise Crime Scene, Detective Tells Mother. That was my exclusive interview with Alethea Kauffman, the mother of Nehemiah Kauffman, one of the victims in the unsolved murders. I follow that story up in episode 84, titled Connie Land Speaks, Lombardo Cover-Up Exposed, LVMPD Compromised Double Murder Crime Scene. That was my exclusive interview with Connie Land, the mother of Sidney Land, the other victim in the unsolved murders. We now know from what Alethea Kauffman was told by Las Vegas Metro Police homicide detectives that the integrity of the October 27, 2016 double homicide crime scene was compromised by a crime scene analyst and by high-ranking members of the police department who were inside the crime scene, shouldn't have been there, and had to be asked to leave. For over 5 years, Clark County Sheriff Joseph Lombardo, who runs the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, covered up the fact that the police compromised the crime scene and kept that secret from the families of Sidney Land and Nehemiah Kauffman. Nothing new with Lombardo orchestrating cover-ups to protect himself and the department from scrutiny and embarrassment, as I have previously exposed, including the cover-up of police negligence that led to the 2019 kidnapping and rape of a Las Vegas 12-year-old girl. Apparently, Sheriff Lombardo cares more about his image than he does with the victims and families of brutal violent crimes. Cover-ups, corruption, negligence, and incompetence. Lombardo sure has all the traits necessary to be a candidate for governor of Nevada. When I was writing for the Baltimore Post-Examiner, I first reported in an October 13, 2019 article that on April 27, 2018, Las Vegas Metro Police homicide detective Mitchell Dosh sent the following disturbing text message to Connie Land, Sidney Land's mother. Quote, "So many things happened since the murder happened that I've never seen before, and I had zero control over. I won't get into them now, but they are well chronicled. Detective Grimmett and I are left to pick up the pieces and work toward a successful outcome despite all the quote-unquote things that have happened along the way. We are not going away." Detective Dorsch did not elaborate any further to Connie Land on what he meant. We now know, from what I reported in episode 83, some of what Detective Dorsch may have been referring to: the compromising of the October 27, 2016 double murder crime scene. In addition to that text message, Detective Dorsch, according to Connie Land, Dorsch did tell her that immediately after the murders were discovered, other detectives who were on scene, not from the Homicide Bureau, leaked to a reporter that Nehemiah Kauffman was found with a bag of marijuana clenched in his hand, a key fact in this case that should never have been divulged to the press, according to Dosh. In addition to that, Connie Land stated to me that Detective Dosh also told her that police department officials released to the press after the murders were discovered that there were two suspects involved in the murders because witnesses had seen two people running in the vicinity of the apartment complex. That information, according to Detective Dorsch, turned out to have no validity, as the two people seen running had nothing to do with the murders, and that information, according to Dorsch, was hastily given to the media before that information could be vetted by detectives. What Detective Dorsch told Connie Land is further corroborated in text messages between Dorsch and Land that Connie Land turned over to me in 2019. I wrote in several articles for the Baltimore Post-Examiner and further discussed on my podcast that the ominous April 27, 2018 text message that Dorsch sent to Connie Land was a disguised admission that the integrity of the criminal investigation into the Land Kauffman murders was botched. We now know that was true, and you can see why Sheriff Lombardo did not want this negligence and incompetence in a double homicide investigation to be exposed. But now it is. And what else is out there, folks, that we do not know about? A few comments about why a crime scene analyst failed to remove the bullets from inside the residence of Alethea Kauffman on October 8, 2016, after Shane Valentine shot into our home, threatening the lives of Mrs. Kauffman, her family, Nehemiah Kauffman, and Sidney Land. The Las Vegas Metro Police Policy Manual states, under crime scene investigations, that the reason for conducting crime scene investigations are to protect, to gather, and to preserve all evidential facts and material that tend to be prove or disprove that a criminal offense has been committed, and to identify the party or parties responsible. Las Vegas Metro Police crime scene analyst responsibilities, according to their policy, are as follows. At all crime scenes, which Criminalistics Bureau personnel are required to process, the crime scene analyst responding to the scene will properly book and seal all evidence at the actual crime scene. We now know that never happened, folks. I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Had the victims of a shooting into an occupied dwelling been a member of Sheriff Lombardo's or District Attorney Steve Wolfson's or any police officer's family, you can be rest assured that the crime scene analyst would have removed the bullets from those residences. But the police didn't remove all the evidence from the home of Alethea Kauffman. Why was that? Since the bullet or bullets were never recovered at that time from the Kauffman residence, then how could a suspect, Shane Valentine in this case, if he had been caught with the weapon, how could ballistic analysis be conducted if there were no bullets in evidence to match the bullets to a weapon? And let us not forget the single most important factor in any evidence collection at a crime scene, the chain of custody. The minute they left the Kauffman residence without collecting the bullet or bullets, chain of custody was destroyed. The crime scene analyst who failed to recover all the evidence from the Kauffman residence on October 8, 2016, was Las Vegas Metro Police crime scene analyst Gabrielle Elizabeth Guerrero. What action did Sheriff Lombardo take on Guerrero? Well, in 2017, Lombardo promoted her from Crime Scene Analyst 1 to Crime Scene Analyst 2. And in 2019, Lombardo promoted Guerrero once again to Senior Crime Scene Analyst. I'm just wondering, how many other times did Guerrero fail to recover all the evidence at a crime scene? Before I close this episode out, let me address you, Sheriff Joseph Lombardo, directly, since you ordered your Public Information Office not to return any of my media requests for comment. What should I do when I, as a former law enforcement officer and current independent investigative journalist, have a question? Can you please address the following questions consecutively, Sheriff Lombardo? Number 1, will you respond to my questions? Number 2, I have called you incompetent, Sheriff Lombardo, and backed my comments up with facts. Can you respond? And number 3, you have an integrity problem for years. I said that your integrity is in the gutter. What do you have to say about that? I will now give Sheriff Lombardo the last words. Thanks for listening, folks.
Please stop asking your question. In the public space, the word incompetence has been brought forward, and I am absolutely offended with that characterization. There was no integrity question associated with that, as I've experienced through the cyberspace, questioning my integrity.